William Jones, and the course is Speech 1311. This is my outline, and this is my verbal citations. I'm going to be doing my informal speech on Henry Ford. Is it possible for someone to change our way of transportation not only at his time of living, but also make an impact today on the automotive industry? Today I'm going to tell you about someone who's done that, Henry Ford. There are three main ideas I'll be going over about Henry Ford. I will start by discussing his background, then I'll move on to discuss how he's a pioneer of welfare capitalism, and lastly I'll discuss how he pioneered mass production. Let me begin by telling you about Ford's background. He was born July 30th, 1863 in Michigan. He constructed his first steam engine at the age of 15. And a book review for Richard Snow by Cynthia Jensen, she states, Ford grew up a reluctant farm boy with a fascination for steam engines and a certain charm that attracted willing helpers. And basically what she means is, Ford, he grew up really fascinated with engines, how things worked, and that's what led him to create his first steam engine only at the age of 15. And at the age of 16, he actually ran away from his parents. He became an engineer, and he actually worked his way up to become chief engineer of Edison Illuminating Company. Next, I'll be going over Henry Ford, how he was the pioneer of welfare capitalism, and how he was considered a pioneer of welfare capitalism would be that he developed the $5 workday. $5 may not seem like much at this point in time, but that was equivalent to about $140 a day today. That was also double at the time what most people were getting for that same type of work in the industry. He also gave workers a 5-day, 40-hour work week, which was unheard of at the time. The reasoning for that, according to the article Ford Factory Workers Get 40-Hour Work Week from History.com, Ford states for the reason on his decision, it's a high time to rid ourselves of the notion that leisure for workmen is either lost time or a class privilege. What he means by that is basically leisure time isn't just for high class people. It's for everybody, and that he believes his workers all deserve it and they should be treated that way. And also, them having leisure time and that free time, he believed also that his workers would be employees and that they would buy his vehicle and be able to use their vehicle for leisure activities. He also gave housing, insurance, and health care to all workers. So he treated his workers very well. He made sure they had a place to live, health insurance, everything. And once again, that was also unheard of at the time for a lot of industry workers. So a lot of people from all across the country went to Detroit trying to get a job at the Ford Motor Company. Lastly, I'll discuss his progress with mass production. He's known as the car constructor in his time. He's the inventor of the moving assembly line in the automotive industry. Normally it would take about 12 hours to produce a car at the time. He was able to cut that time down to about 2.5 hours through the use of pulleys and conveyor belts. He would move them down the line. As they moved down the line, each worker would have their own unique piece that they would do on the vehicle. And they were able to be more efficient with that because of muscle memory. They had one task to do, and as it moved on the line, created a more efficient way of doing things, which enabled them to meet the demand that they had, because the vehicles were being sold as soon as they were made. Ford also had many contributions to the production lines at this time. As stated by Nicole Atomic in an article on Henry Ford, what are not well known are Ford's contributions to the just-in-time production, product platforming, mass customization, vertical integration, designs for maintainability, and ergonomic considerations. And basically, a lot of people just think as Ford as a guy who owned Ford or created Ford. A lot of people don't know that Ford also treated his workers very well. He also gave them benefits, paid them well, and he was the brains behind the assembly line, and his innovations are what created Ford how it's known today. And as a conclusion, I just told you aspects of Henry Ford's life. I started by talking about his background with cars. Then I informed you about how he's a pioneer of welfare capitalism. And lastly, I gave you information of how he helped in the mass production of vehicles. Henry Ford has made a huge contribution to assembly lines and production. Without his innovations, things would not be so fast and reliable as they are today. They're still used, and they're the main form of business, and how not only the automotive industry, but how all industries are working today, including the 5-hour, 4-day work week.